understanding the downs and distance is probably the biggest key to understanding football.
Down and distance, down and distance, down and distance.
What's up, everybody? It's Josh back with episode 2 of Down and Distance. I'm here as always with Joe. What's going on, my man?
Hey, how you doing? Not too much.
So, last week, 2 weeks ago, last episode, whenever it was, we did the whole AFC East. Just to kind of recap that. Obviously, go and listen to that. But basically, AFC East is going to be pretty bad, and the Patriots shouldn't have an issue winning it if everything works out the way it should. This week, we're going to go through the news. We're going to go through the AFC North, which is something that I've been excited about because I always want to talk about the Browns because they're either going to be really terrible or they're going to be below average, but it's going to be a really cool story because they were really terrible for many years. But we're going to start with the NCAA. They have a new transfer rule that Joe brought to my attention. So, Joe, I'll just let you shed some light on what exactly this is.
So, pretty much now, players can't get blocked from transferring schools. They notify their coach that they would like to transfer, and they go into a database that makes them available for pretty much every other college team. It sounds like it's barring teams in your own conference, but coaches can't. Like, I know Saban was known for it, and I think the guy from Kansas State was known for it too, from blocking players from transfer.
Right.
And that can't happen anymore. They can't block them, so players are allowed to transfer wherever they want to.
Which, I think that's a great rule. I don't think they should be blocked at all. Obviously, if you recruit and win and the guy commits to you, you want to keep him. But, I mean, you can't control him if he wants to leave. I just never understood that rule. And like you said, Saban was known for it. I mean, you brought up the point. He blocked a guy going to the Citadel because they were going to end up playing him. And it was a center. It was a lineman. So it's just ridiculous. I can see going to Auburn or Florida or something like that, but blocking the Citadel or an FCS school because you're going to play him in the next 4 years when the kid's going to be there is absolutely insane. So I'm glad they made this change. I'm surprised it took this long for them to actually make the change, though.
I'm surprised the NCAA actually did something that benefited the players.
That's true.
They never do anything that benefits the players.
Well, I wonder. I want to know if it was a former player or who was the one that actually brought it up. Because, like you said, they wouldn't typically do it. They didn't do it about the whole case against, not necessarily EA, but that stopped the college football game, because of using the players, I guess, not necessarily name, but the playing style. Like if you saw an NCAA football number 10 for Texas playing quarterback, it was Vince Young. I mean, everyone knew that. So they were, Can we talk about that for a second? Of course.
Why has EA not figured out that if they just put out a blank football game that just has everyone is player 0 and they play for the blue team versus the yellow team, and it has all of the systems from NCAA football in it, if they just put out that for like $30 as a downloadable game or something like that, and put in the ability to create rosters and download rosters from the internet, that they would literally put out an NCAA football game and have a workaround and never be sued.
Right. And that's the other thing. I thought about that a bunch because they had Team Builder, so you could create. I mean, before App State was a Division I school, that game was out. People were making Appalachian State. People were making North Dakota State. People were making their high schools. They were doing it already. People were uploading the real rosters with the player names, everything like that. So they had the capability. I think they were just like, just for 100% precautionary reasons, we're not even going to try. So,
because someone would do it. Some like Operation Sports or some website like that would have full rosters done within like 3 days of the game coming out.
Right. And the other thing is, there is a game coming out that's going to be college football. It's going to be fully customizable. They got the backing from investors. It's going to be like random teams, random logos, everything like that. But you're going to be able to customize uniforms, customize the teams, rosters, stadiums, fan bases, everything. And it's...
I'm super skeptical about that game.
It's going to be... I think the first year is going to be a little rough. That's not going to stop me from buying it because college football...
need to have coaching carousel. If coaching carousel and recruiting and like shit like that isn't in the game, I'm out.
Well, so from what I heard from what I heard from the company, which is IMV Gaming, from what I hear is they're going to have a similar feature to like college hoops, where you could do legacy mode, start with a small school and try and work your way up. That was their idea of their dynasty mode. If they can actually pull it off the first year, that's super impressive. I think it's going to be kind of very generic, kind of just like the bones of the game, and then as it progresses, we'll see if it gets better. But the only problem is 2-3 years of them doing that, EA might jump back into it. So I just think it's going to be good to have the ability to play a college football game again.
You know what, though? Now that I'm thinking about it, EA will never do what I said because why would anyone buy Madden? Just someone will make the pro rosters and pro teams in that game.
Right.
And then you just play like a hack together Madden.
Right. So that's in a roundabout way. EA's trying to preserve their revenue because $30 you're going to get basically 2 games. People are going to do that, as you said. So I don't think they'd end up doing it. This new company is throwing together a game. Hopefully it comes out great, and we'll see what happens. But going back to the transfer rule, I think this is going to be good because within 2 days of a player expressing that he wants to be, I guess, no longer with the team, wants to transfer, he has to be put into that database and can be contacted by any coach as long as it's not in the conference. If the team blocks it, if the coach doesn't block it, he can be contacted by anyone, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if it's going to be a huge factor because if they're playing, they're probably not going to transfer. You know what I mean? Like unless it's like a 5-star guy, or like a Jalen Hurts type deal where he just got passed up by a 5-star quarterback, then you could see where it could play a factor. But I just don't think it's going to be too much of a big deal, but it's definitely at least noteworthy that it's changing in the player's favor.
Well, yeah, because if they don't do this rule, the coaches can essentially ruin a player's career. Like, we're going to block you from transfer and you're never going to play here. So, have fun. I'm glad your football career lasted while it did.
Well, I believe there was... I don't know if he was the one that kind of made the whole rule change happen, but I did see a thing. I can't remember what position he played, but he played for Auburn, wanted to transfer out. He wanted to go to Ohio State or a bigger school, and he was blocked from going to any major school that could be a potential title contender, and he ended up having to go to Blinn College, which is a JUCO basically, which they're a really good junior college, but he's not going to get seen at Blinn like he would at Ohio State or Alabama or anything like that. So, I mean, it's a huge, huge, huge incentive for players, because if they're not happy with their playing time, some players just don't get along with the coaches that they're playing for. They can leave and still have a career, have a chance to go in the NFL if they're good enough. So I think it's a great rule.
You already have to wait, don't you? Anyway, if you transfer, you lose a year.
You do. So if you transfer from a Division I school to a Division I school, you redshirt a year. But I don't know if that's going to be. I didn't look too deep into that rule as well. Like, maybe they're going to change that where if it's at a certain point in the season, you don't have to sit out a year, or if you do it early enough in the season, you sit out the rest of that season, but you don't sit out the next season. So there's a lot to be looked into in that rule, but it's still not going to send a kid to a junior college where he could potentially get hurt, potentially have a bad season, and then not get picked up by a Division I school or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's really it college-wise. I mean, obviously have free agency, recruiting's pretty much done. They're in their preseasons now, playing spring games and everything like that. So, not a whole lot until we get closer to the season with college. NFL-wise, the first thing that I want to talk about is Andrew Luck. He's throwing the ball. He's supposedly looking pretty good. And the biggest thing is he said there's absolutely no pain. So
I heard it was a high school football.
That's what I heard. But still, the fact that there's no pain, it doesn't matter if he's throwing a Nerf football. It's promising for him that there's no pain. The question that I have for you is, do you think we're going to see... He's going to play this year, but do you think we're going to see the Andrew Luck that everyone's been expecting to see? This MVP, he came out of college and everyone was already talking Hall of Fame, basically. Is that going to be the Andrew Luck we're going to see, or is he kind of one of those guys that, man, what could have been Andrew Luck?
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that missing an entire season fucks with you a little bit, at least.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? I don't think you can take that long of a layoff from football. And not just taking a layoff from football, but not even throwing a football until, 3 days ago or 2 days ago. That's got to wear on you somehow. So I'm expecting a slightly diminished Andrew Luck for most of the season until he really gets back in the rhythm. But I mean, eventually he'll be Andrew Luck again, especially if he's not in pain.
The thing that
I heard that in his press conference that some of the stuff he was saying was kind of still hinting that his shoulder wasn't 100%. Like, he was saying there's a difference between being in pain and it being sore. Where,
right.
Dude, you didn't play football for a year. Why is your shoulder sore still? Something is seriously... I don't know what's wrong with him. Was he ever diagnosed with a real injury? What is going on with his fucking shoulder?
I'm not sure. I don't know, but my biggest thing for him is I think we're going to see... He's going to produce. I think he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. But how good can he really be on that team? I don't see... It's not like he's going to a team that he has a lot of weapons and a lot of help. So... He's not going to be the Andrew Luck that, the team goes 2-14 and then he brings them to 11-5. It's not going to be anything drastic like that. I think it's going to be a little bit of a curve, and I don't know how he's going to do when he's under pressure. If someone, hits his arm when he's throwing, there's a lot of question marks of what we're going to see with Andrew Luck. But at least he's throwing a football. I mean, that's something, at least, for Colts fans.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could get excited. You know what I would do if I was the Colts? I'd trade him away right now.
I mean, but what value are you going to get for him?
Someone will pay.
I understand he's Andrew Luck, but I mean, someone's going to pay a tremendous amount for the unknown.
Maybe. It's Andrew Luck.
Yeah. I guess.
I don't know if I would actually trade him away, but I could see it happening.
I mean, the reason I wouldn't is what if you do trade him? Nobody knows what we're going to get out of Andrew Luck. Nobody knows. This year, no one knows what his career future is going to be like. So if you trade him away, is what you're going to get potentially worth more than having him come back and all of a sudden he's fine and great and that Andrew Luck that we expected and now you're kicking yourself? I don't think the trade-off is worth it at all if you even tried to trade him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bold move.
Right. So, we still have a lot of time before even preseason for rehab and to get him throwing again. So, I'm confident that he'll be at least ready to go week 1. I don't know how good he's going to be, and I don't know if he'll end up playing the full season. I mean, like I said, if he gets hit and it's not 100%, that's a good way to re-injure yourself, to re-aggravate it, and then we're in a real pickle for the Colts because then you just don't know. He might as well just retire at that point if he has to have surgery and he's out another year, and it's just almost not even worth it for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is the Colts could spend all this time waiting for Andrew Luck, and he just never becomes Andrew Luck again. You know what I mean? And then you just wait 2 seasons, you lose, getting back on track,
right? Essentially. So we'll just have to see, really, the progression that he makes and see what happens. On a bright note, not for the Colts, but for the Patriots, Brady and Gronk, as expected, are at camp. I don't know, did you see the press conference with Belichick asking about the relationship he has with Brady?
No.
So, the first day of camp, Brady was there, and Belichick was, how does it to have everybody report to camp, kind of taking a shot at Brady and Gronk, and Belichick, of course, it's great to have everyone at camp. Then they said, how's your relationship with Tom? How's everything with Tom? And he just said, my relationship with Tom's always been great, and just basically cut it off at that. Why are we even... I know it's your job to ask questions, but you know what you're going to get. You know the answers. You might as well just write them down before you even ask a dumb question, because you're not going to get... Even if that's not the truth, you're not going to get the truth.
Yeah, what's he going to say? I fucking hate Tom Brady and always have?
Right. I mean, and the media keeps digging and digging and digging. I don't care if it's friends, player, coach, like this instance, a marriage, a family. 18 years, there's gonna be an issue. There's gonna be an argument. There's gonna be some sort of disagreement. To say that that's never happened with those two is kind of foolish. So, they're making it a bigger deal than I think it needs to be, even if there was an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. People are definitely, blowing this whole thing out of proportion, I feel like.
And now the new thing is the whole Gronk situation. With him and his new contract, now there's reports that he was being shopped before the draft. And
those are real. Real.
Right. But so what? Like,
No,
Gronk's
yeah.
career, his future was unknown. He wanted more money, but he didn't hint at that point that he was definitely coming back. Why not try and get something for him if you're not convinced?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, but those reports are true. Like, they
Right.
definitely were shopping him. I remember when that was happening. Like, I heard those back then, though. So I don't know
Right.
why it's like a story now.
Right, it's just they're just rehashing everything. And I mean, Gronk and everyone, they're saying that it's not real, but I mean, why even deny it if it's true? Like, who cares? It's not it's null and void.
Well, there's like two Gronk trade stories. It's like the one that's like before the draft. That one's real. But then there was another one that came out that's like the Pats recently tried to trade Gronk, and that was the one that said like the 49ers and the Titans were interested. That whole story is completely made up.
Okay, so it's two different situations.
Yeah, the one where the report was like the Pats recently tried to trade Gronk, but then Brady threatened to retire, and then Kraft blocked the trade.
So that's that one.
All that bullshit is fake.
Okay, right. Yeah, I did hear that the only reason Gronk wasn't traded was because Kraft vetoed the trade and all that stuff. Okay, so yeah, I mean, they're just fishing. That's all they're doing is fishing.
There is somebody, I don't know who it is. Somebody is trying to drive a wedge between the Pats. I don't know who it is, but there is a guy out there. I think all of this shit, the Wickersham story, and then this and all these leaks, they're coming from someone.
Right, and that's
the same. They're all coming from the same person, I think.
I just don't know who it would be.
I don't know either. I mean, the Patriots definitely have a lot of people who don't like them, so.
Right, and a lot of people that don't like them that work in the media now. They're not working in the NFL anymore, so
yeah.
You know, there's that. So there, and I can only imagine any other hint that Gronk's unhappy, Brady and Belichick aren't getting along, even if it's taken out of context, it's going to be all over the media, and it's going to continue all year.
Yeah, it's...
You know how Brady is on the sideline. He's passionate, he's fiery, he'll yell at anyone. First time that happens, the ESPN's going to go bananas.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So...
I've already been hearing it. People are already starting the whole, this is the downfall and all that nonsense.
Right. So, we'll see. I mean, we have a lot of time, again, before, I guess technically, I would say the big thing would be, obviously, the season, but next offseason, because it's going to start all over again with Brady's going to retire, Gronk's going to want out, and we're going to do this all over again.
I think next offseason could actually be, for real, a big offseason for the future of the Patriots. Because I would not be surprised if this is the end of the Belichick thing this season.
You think?
Yep. They brought Josh McDaniels back for a reason.
Right.
And I think that reason is sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah.
And Belichick's also on record saying he doesn't want to coach into his 70s, and the dude is like 67 or 66.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't have that much longer with Bill Belichick as it is. And think about it this way. Let's say that all of this shit is true. Well, not all of it, because the Gronk stuff is like confirmed fake, but let's say like there really is a rift between Belichick and Brady.
Okay.
The simplest way to solve it is to have Belichick step down and promote Josh McDaniels to the head coach of the football team, and then that's Brady's guy as the head coach, and you just start a new era. You could hold on to Bill Belichick for 3 more years, right? And then he eventually retires. Or you hold on to Tom Brady as long as you can until you can find a suitable replacement, because quarterback is the most important position in the NFL, and if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. You just hold on to your quarterback as long as he can play until you can find, and you just keep throwing darts until you find a replacement. And then you have your future head coach in Josh McDaniels, and now your future quarterback and to whoever, Danny Etling. You know what I mean? Until you find someone to replace Tom Brady.
Right. Also, did you hear Hackenberg visited the Patriots today?
It's wild. I do not want Christian Hackenberg.
I don't even know. Like, it's so bizarre to me. I'm almost convinced that like someone just saw him just like shopping at Patriots Place and not visiting the Patriots because it's just too off the wall.
It's not even actually Christian Hackenberg. It's just some random guy that looks like Christian Hackenberg.
It's like that Klay Thompson impersonator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but the way I think it's gonna work is I think we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be all the cards are gonna be on the table. I think you're right. Next offseason, the way I think it's gonna play out is maybe Belichick's gone, maybe, but I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna really see what happens with Brady, and what happens is I think we're gonna see maybe a contract restructuring where he maybe adds another year and then he plays that contract out, and then in a few years, couple years, that's when he rides off into the sunset. They hopefully have a replacement for him at that point. McDaniels very well could be the head coach.
McDaniels is the replacement. McDaniels is the replacement for Tom Brady.
Right.
He's going to play quarterback.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works. The worst case is Brady and Belichick leave at the exact same time. That's the only thing I don't want.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If there really is tension between the two, I think they dump Belichick because Belichick without a quarterback there is, I mean, he'll get you to the playoffs, but we've never seen Bill Belichick really without a quarterback. We saw him with Matt Castle, but that team was like the greatest team in football.
Well, we did. We saw him, with Castle, but
we saw him with Drew Bledsoe, and that team went like, they had a losing season.
Didn't they? No,
they had a losing season.
Oh, that was with Pete Carroll. That was before him. Yeah. You're right.
They had well, I know Belichick started off with Drew Bledsoe the year that Tom Brady got hurt. They started off 0-2, and the year before that, I think they went like 5-11.
Yeah, they weren't good. They weren't.
So
good.
I mean,
so it would make sense to keep Brady, especially because
you don't have either of them very long, but you have a replacement for Bill Belichick. You don't have a replacement for Tom Brady.
Edelman.
So you keep, he's your quarterback. He's not even a wide receiver on the team right now. He's suspended.
Yeah. I didn't even think to bring that up. What is he doing?
I don't think he's doing anything. As a matter of fact, I don't even think his suspension holds up.
Really?
Yeah, the league pretty much came out and said, like, we don't even know what he's suspended for. We just know he tested positive.
So I think just because he tested positive, I think they have to suspend him for a game. I think it'll be reduced.
It's based on like the CBA or whatever, but they don't know what he tested positive for. It's like a weird situation where it looks like he has a good chance of like beating the suspension.
Yeah. Like Mike's Special, what was it? Mike's Special Juice or whatever it was in Space Jam. That's what he tested positive for.
He got suspended for Mike's Hard Lemonade. Showed up in his system.
Right. If that's the case, Gronk's in trouble if they test him. Who knows what that man does?
Hold on, I'm reading something on Boston.com. It says Edelman. The test came in the offseason a couple months ago, ruling out a possible stimulant. I don't know why that would rule out a stimulant, but apparently it does.
Well, because technically a stimulant could be... There's so many things that classify as a stimulant. Some pre-workouts technically are stimulants. I don't know.
It doesn't... This article doesn't actually say anything. I thought it did, but it's just saying he said he's sorry.
So, well, yeah, I did see that, and I did see the trainer was like, I don't even know what he did. Like, I have no clue. And I mean, I know he's the trainer, and he's probably like, yeah, I'll cover you, whatever. Because I mean, every baseball player's trainer said the same thing. But I truly do believe it wasn't like a, hey, dude, let's hook me up with some performance enhancers and see what happens. It could have been just like a honest, random thing that, like you said, the NFL doesn't even know, so it could be just the thing that triggered it.
Oh, so this is how the NFL testing policy works. There's a strict confidentiality agreement in place and a $500,000 fine for anyone who breaks it. The NFL office also purposely keeps itself in the dark. It doesn't know when Edelman tested positive, what type of test he took, or what he tested positive for. It just knows that he tested positive for something.
That's interesting.
So they pretty much heard, like, you tested positive for a substance on this list, so we're suspending you.
We're banning you.
Banning you forever. You can never go join the XFL.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't get lifted completely, I do think it'll most likely be reduced at least in half. I just think it's not like he's Josh Gordon or anything, like doing stupid stuff. Like, he was rehabbing something, probably triggered it. He had no idea, and that's probably the whole story.
The MMQB reported that scientists are trying to figure out exactly what Edelman tested positive for, so they don't even know.
Scientists.
Yeah. Numerous scientists.
Nice.
A test can be considered positive if a player's ratio of testosterone to epitestosterone is greater than 4:1. A test can also be positive if the player's epitestosterone level exceeds 200 nanogram. I have no idea what ng over ml means, but that could also cause it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Science is not a strong word. It's NG, not even MG.
NG, nanograms.
Yeah.
I don't even know the size of a nanogram.
So, he could have just taken something that raised his testosterone so high that he tested positive, even though they have no drugs that they can find.
Right. So
they just know he has really high testosterone.
Yeah, could just be his chemistry. Doubtful, but it could be. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to, like I said, be given maybe 2 games. I would like to see it at 1 or 0, but I think 2 games would be suffice. You know, you punish him. You got to make an example. You got to do it. Give him 2 games. Get him back on the field. It's not like we haven't played without him before.
Oh, I don't think the Pats, nothing's going to change.
Right. It's just going to make Edelman more fiery when he comes back. Honestly.
Let's see. I want to look up Who do you think their first 4 games are against?
Who the Patriots' first 4 games are?
Yeah. Oh, actually, they have a pretty tough run here. So
Yeah.
They open the season against the Texans, Jags, Lions, Dolphins.
Right.
So let's say,
Texans at home, though.
yeah, Texans at home, Jags on the road, Lions on the road, Dolphins at home.
Okay.
So let's say they go. Let's say conservatively they go 2-2. I actually think they probably go 3-1 or maybe even 4-0 because they beat the Jags without Edelman and Gronk. Really,
right. I think they. If you wanted to be conservative, I say 3-1 is more likely than 2-2.
Yeah, because imagine the Pats starting off 0-2, the world would be ending. Tom Brady would be dead, pretty much, according to like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp and all those guys.
Oh yeah.
They'd say Tom Brady's dead. He should have retired.
His legacy will be tarnished, according to them.
Yeah, because they started off 0-2, and then he'll just run through the rest of these teams on this list.
If they start 2-2, they're gonna go like 13-3 the rest of the season. To finish out the season, and then they'll all have to eat their words.
If they start 0-2, they beat the Lions, they beat the Dolphins, they play Andrew Luck and his like baby arm in New England, which I think they've never lost to the Colts in New England. Like,
that seems right.
I don't know if they've ever even lost to the Andrew Luck Colts. Like, ever. Away or home.
That I can't verify, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Has Andrew Luck ever beaten the Pats?
But then after that, I mean, they got after the Colts, the Chiefs, Bears, Bills. Then they have Green. So really, like, we could be into November and potentially be undefeated. I mean,
they have a game against the Patriots are 7-0 since 2010.
Yeah,
against the Colts.
Right. So there you go.
So Andrew Luck has never beaten Tom Brady.
I don't think it's going to change.
Also, in the history of Andrew Luck playing against Tom Brady, the Patriots have yet to put up less than 34 points.
Well, that's because
they won 59-24, 43-22, 42-20, 45-7, and 34-27. Those are the last however many times they played.
What was didn't they play him in the playoffs? And I mean, was that the 42-20 game or something like that? I thought one year that when they went 11-5, that might have been his rookie year. Didn't they play him in the playoffs?
That was the year they won 45-7, I think.
45-7. Yeah, I mean, come on.
What does the blue mean? Does that mean playoff game? Postseason meeting. Yeah. That was the deflate. That was a Deflategate game.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew they played them. Like, it wasn't
when
his year, but
Tom Brady actually played better in the second half.
Yeah, with the
after they switched balls. Yeah.
Non-deflated, inflated, however you want to word it.
In two games against the Colts in the playoffs, they've scored 43 points and 45 points.
So I mean, real solid defense on that Colts team.
Yeah. Also, one of these games is the game where the running back that no one had ever heard of ran for like fucking like 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jonas Gray or Jonah Gray.
Yeah. Because didn't we have like 3 games in a row where different running backs torched them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Colts couldn't stop anyone.
Yeah. So it didn't matter. Brady was going to rush for 100 yards if he wanted to. So, let's go to Carson Wentz. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. Just sticking quarterbacks here. Carson Wentz, the reports are he's going to be ready for week 1. Now, when I read that, initially my thought was, all right, that's pretty cool. Like, he'll be ready. But does ready mean that you just throw him out there? Like, if he gets no reps in the preseason, but he's ready week 1, there's no shot he's playing, in my opinion.
If you don't think he's gonna play week 1?
If he doesn't, if he is ready week 1 but not preseason, like if he gets very, very, very limited snaps preseason, you can't throw him out there for a full game week 1.
That's why they held on to Foles. I think for that exact reason.
Like, he might be capable. I would say the better term would be he'll be capable to play week 1. I don't know if ready's the correct term.
I wouldn't rush him back.
There's no reason to.
No. Have him take his time. Because, I mean, fucking Edelman had to take steroids to come back, and he had the same injury, and he did it in the preseason.
Right. But I have a feeling that if he's ready week 1, they'll play him over Foles.
Yeah, and I think he'll regress a little. Do you know how, like, crazy efficient he was? Like, anyone expecting this Eagles team to be the exact same way, I think they're a little nuts. Like, there's no way that anyone can keep up this level of efficiency offensively. It's just, like, unheard of.
So the Eagles... Go ahead.
They scored, like, every time they were in the red zone.
Yeah, they were crazy efficient. That is true. But they're not going to keep it up. And the thing is, the opening night, they play the Falcons.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Think about it. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, right? The Giants were, who should have been contenders, just completely tanked off the face of the planet after Odell Beckham was done for the season, pretty much. Right. They're like, we're not even going to try. So the Giants will bounce back. Dallas lost Zeke for most of the season.
Yeah.
So Dallas will bounce back. That's just in their division, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles will be good. There was no Aaron Rodgers. That's huge.
That is huge.
There's no Aaron Rodgers in the fucking playoffs. So to take him out of the NFC, then you have the whole NFC South. So like the Saints, the Vikings got Kirk Cousins. They're even better now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You have the Saints over there, Atlanta, Carolina. The NFC has killers. It's going to be really, really tough to repeat.
And the Rams. We didn't even mention the Rams.
Oh, and the Rams, yeah.
So the Eagles, they start off their season with the Falcons.
And the Rams got way better.
Yeah.
And they were already the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed last year, and they got better. Right. Or the 2 seed. No. I think the Rams were the 1 seed.
The Rams were the 3 seed.
They were?
Yep. Philly, Minnesota were 13-3.
Rams Minnesota. Yeah. So yeah, the Rams were the 3 seed and got significantly better.
Yeah. So I would. So they have the Falcons, the Bucks, game 1 and 2. Then they play the Colts, the Titans, and then they play the Vikings, Giants, Panthers, Jaguars, Cowboys, Saints. I mean, they have a tough October and November. I would wait.
Don't
play them.
Yeah, because you want him there for October and November.
Right. So he's quote unquote going to be ready. Doesn't mean he's going to play. Another quarterback that's expected to be ready. He's supposed to be actually ready now. Deshaun Watson. I am so intrigued at what he's going to do next season. There's no way he keeps up the pace that he was last year.
No, his pace was better. His pace last year was better than
record-setting.
Peyton Manning's pace the year he broke the record.
Right. So there. I mean, if he does, good for him. But I don't see a way that he keeps that up. But I still think he's going to have a really good year because I think that Texans team's going to be good.
Their offensive line is really bad. That's the only thing that could really hold them back, and could potentially be dangerous for Deshaun Watson. They might have this. They might have the worst or the second worst offensive line in football.
Right. But his ability to, as long as he protects himself, he'll be all right.
It's what scares me about Deshaun Watson is he's such a gamer that
he is.
He might not protect himself.
I mean, in the national championship game against Alabama, he was taking licks.
That's what I mean, and he's just. It scares me a little for him. You know, in fantasy football, he's being drafted as the quarterback 2 behind
really?
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
That's ballsy. So
a lot of people feel how you feel about him this year.
You know,
some people are taking him over Aaron Rodgers.
Well, those people are like Chris, and they're stupid.
Yeah.
So
Chris is a buddy of ours who's not good at fantasy football. for those people who don't get that reference.
Yeah, it's unspeakable how bad he is at fantasy football.
In our league that Dow used to be a part of, we changed the rule, Dow. So you don't know this, but now where you finish in the season, you decide where you want to draft instead of just automatically last place drafts first,
right?
Second to last. You get to pick. So most people pick the chalk anyway. Like if you finish last, you still pick first because why not? Chris finished I think third to last year, and decided to pick 9th in a 10-team league. He didn't even take the last pick. He took 9th.
So
instead of just picking third. Instead of picking 3rd, he picked 9th.
The fact is that he finished 3rd to last.
Yeah.
Not last.
Yeah, I finished last that year.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I finished last that year. Not a great year.
I mean, we're just going to keep rolling with the quarterbacks because apparently that's all their news is. I heard this once and then literally haven't heard it since. Maybe I'm just missing it. But is it true that Aaron Rodgers asked for an opt-out clause?
I heard that in his new when he eventually negotiates a new contract is what it is.
Okay.
When he eventually negotiates a new contract, he wants to negotiate it the way that kind of like how LeBron negotiates his contracts in the NBA, where it's a long-term contract, but he leaves himself the chance to opt out if the quarterback market starts to heat up. You know what I mean?
Right, so he can restructure and...
Yeah. So
he's similar to LeBron, but not so he can leave like LeBron.
Yes.
Okay. I respect
it. He also said he wants to play his whole career for one team, but I don't know. I thought he hates it. I feel like he hates it there.
So... I don't think I think he always wanted to play for one team. This past couple years at least have been rough, but I think they would have to literally push him out. And they're doing a great job of it, trying to get rid of him. I mean, if they want to push him out, they're doing the job. But I do think that if they can just not screw up, they'll keep him for his career.
Yeah, well, like you said, they're doing a great job of it, firing his quarterback coach without consulting him and shit.
Right.
Getting rid of his favorite receiver and one of his best friends on the team.
Yep. Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah. So.
Only other thing I have is, I saw this today. Le'Veon Bell reportedly will not take anything less than $14.5 million a year.
Where does that rank money-wise? Like, where does that put him? That's what I want to know.
That's got to put him...
That seems high for a running back. I know that.
Oh, I think the running backs are $9 million, or like the top tier.
I mean,
that's almost receiver money.
He'll get it from someone, but it won't be the Steelers, I'll tell you that.
No, the Steelers aren't going to budge.
The Steelers are already looking for their way out. They're going to tag him again, probably, and then he's going to be like a 30-year-old running back.
Yep, and then he's definitely not getting the money.
Yeah, they're just gonna. You can essentially now in the NFL, you can almost, with the franchise tag the way it is, you can almost own any running back in the NFL if you draft them for their entire career.
Right.
Yep. As long as you're willing to pay the franchise tag.
Right. So that brings me, or us, I should say, to the NFC North. So we're going to do it the same we did last week, or last episode, we'll start with who we think's going to be the worst, and then we'll move on from there. So who do you have last in the NFC North?
I really don't want to put them last. I want to put the Bengals last, but I'm going to have to still go with the Browns.
Yep, I completely agree. The Browns. Vegas has their over-under for win total at 4.5. So,
I would take the over. I'm not joking. Yes.
I set them at 4. I set them at 4 wins.
I think the Ravens, not the Ravens. I think the Browns are going to be good. I don't know what it is, but I feel like they're going to be like a decent team. I don't know. I can't. I really don't want to pick them as my worst team, but I feel like I have to, kind of.
Josh Gordon really thinks they're going to be... Did you hear his comments about the receiving core?
No, but I can imagine that receiving core is filthy.
He said that they are the best receiving core in the NFL, he said.
I mean, it's not as crazy as you think. Think about receiving cores in the NFL. They are loaded with talent.
If you just think about Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry, as long as they stay on the field, they're both dynamic.
Yeah, and then you have Corey Coleman, who's like a really good young receiver, who's like, he's like the third or fourth option, after they have Njoku still. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really not as crazy. I mean, people are going to take it as a crazy thing to say, but it's not as crazy as people think.
No, it's not. It's just bold.
Definitely bold.
What do you
Definitely
think about,
a bold thing.
So what do you have them at wins wise?
6-10.
6-10. Okay. I mean, that's respectable.
Let's look up the Browns record here. I think we did this actually, or the Browns schedule. I feel like we did this last week actually, or last episode.
Yeah, wasn't it? Isn't it tough? Isn't it a tough schedule?
They open Steelers at home, Saints on the road. Then Jets at home, Raiders on the road, Ravens at home. So they start off 0-2 because I think they lose to the Steelers twice this year. They definitely lose to the Saints. But then they beat the Jets. They beat the Raiders.
They could start like 2-9.
I think they could beat the Ravens. So that's 3-2.
I don't even have them. You think they're going to beat the Raiders?
Yeah, I think the Raiders are actually going to be really bad.
Like Browns bad though?
Yeah, like very bad. Like one of the worst teams in the NFL bad.
That's a bold statement.
I do. They
That's
don't
bold.
they aren't talented to me. Their defense is very bad. Derek Carr has really fallen back to earth. So I
can just picture Gruden standing on the sideline now with that stupid face.
I think that was a terrible coaching hire. Like, I just don't think it was. I could picture them being very bad. The Browns will lose to the Chargers. Yeah, they do have a tough schedule. They could beat the Chiefs.
Chiefs are going to be bad.
They could beat the Bengals. At least one. I think they could go 1-1 against the Bengals and the Ravens. So that's right. At least two. That's at least 2 wins. They beat the Jets for sure.
You said the Raiders.
They actually do have a really hard schedule.
Right.
How did they end up with this schedule?
Because they drafted Baker Mayfield first.
They play the Saints, the Jets, the Raiders, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bucks, the Steelers again, the Chiefs, the Falcons, the Bengals, the Texans, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Ravens. That is awful for Cleveland. Like, that is not a break at all.
Right. Simply just, they are always have to play 100%.
This is why Vegas makes money. This is why Vegas makes money, because 4 is the perfect number.
Right. They know what they're doing. So I definitely think they're not going to go. There's no shot that they go winless again. But I think 4-12 is probably.
I'm going to take. I would be shocked if they go winless.
Oh. Yeah.
I would be shocked. They won't go winless.
If they don't beat the Jets, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, blow it all up. Trade Baker Mayfield. If they don't beat the Jets, blow it all up.
Is Baker Mayfield, by the time the Jets game comes around, will he be playing?
Probably not. So maybe if they don't beat the Jets with Tyrod Taylor, Baker should start against the Raiders.
Right. And then that might be the first win.
Where's their bye week? 9-9, 9-16, 9-20. Where's their bye week?
It is middle of November.
Middle of November?
November
yeah, okay.
18th.
Yeah.
Right after the Falcons.
So I could picture Baker starting against the Bengals like at the latest.
If he does not start by the bye week, they better be first in the division.
A lot of teams like to use the bye week to do the quarterback switch, though, because you get an extra week to ready up. And if the season's already lost by that point,
but that's 10 games into the season.
Yeah, why would they?
If you're gonna, at that point,
why would they let the season be lost?
Right, at that point, they're probably out of it at that point. To be honest, why even play him at that point?
Yeah. Let's see what the Browns did. They added Tyrod Taylor. They added Jarvis Landry. They added Carlos Hyde. Yep. They got Demarius Randall from the Packers. They got cornerback T.J. Carey from, I think he's an ex-Raider. Chris Hubbard at right tackle. E.J. Gaines, another cornerback. And Terrence Mitchell, another corner. They drafted Baker Mayfield, obviously, and Denzel Ward. So they really threw a lot of pieces at that secondary. They took Nick Chubb, offensive tackle out of Nevada, I think, Austin Corbett, and Chad Thomas, the defensive end. Obviously, they lost Joe Thomas. He retired. Danny Shelton and Jason McCourty are both on the Patriots now.
Yep.
Deshaun Kaiser went to the Packers in a trade for Demarius Randall. And Isaiah Crowell is a Jet. They also hired Todd Haley as offensive coordinator. And he is taking over play calling duties from Hugh Jackson, which might be the smartest move they've ever made. And they re-signed Josh Gordon, and they're paying him exclusively in weed. So
exactly.
They are such a talented team on paper. It's really discouraging to say that they're going to be 4-10 or 4-12.
Well, here's the thing, though. So this is the only reason that I was hesitant at putting them 4-12, and this almost has me taking the over. Is they went 0-16 last year, so like obviously like you can't get worse. But there were some games last year where it was like probably 4 in a row where I was like, man, they could win this.
Oh, there were games. I'm pretty sure they were leading the Steelers at halftime in like both games.
They might have been leading them almost into the fourth quarter, and it was just like, like they could win this. And then I know against the Ravens that, they could win this. So I would say at least 3 or 4, and they got better, like a lot better.
Yeah.
I just think that the roster they have, there's going to be, and I'm not going to do it right now, obviously, but there's going to be games where, for instance, they play the Raiders. Maybe the next week, the Raiders play the Patriots or something ridiculous where they're already looking ahead. They might sneak up on a few teams and win 5 games.
This is why it's annoying. When I said to you, I think they would beat the Raiders, you were like, really? You think they would beat the Raiders? If you looked at the two rosters on paper, the Browns are significantly better than the Raiders.
Okay, I would agree with that.
But people just don't think they're going to win.
And I would be one of those. I would be one of those people that's just like, man, 4.5.
But the thing is,
the increase.
I think the thing is, the Browns lost. The Browns were close in a lot of games, and they lost a lot because they had no quarterback play. Whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Baker Mayfield playing, they are significantly better at quarterback.
Yeah.
Significantly better.
I mean, they got better defensively.
Deshaun Kaiser was terrible.
Awful. And I said that last year, so I was watching the Combine, and this is when Joel and I were doing the podcast, and I said the next show that we do, we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to tell you, Deshaun Kaiser in shorts and a t-shirt at the Combine was missing throws badly. And he was just like, he couldn't believe, he turned it on and he couldn't believe, like, slants that he shouldn't be missing. Like, not even catchable balls.
If Baker Mayfield hits this, I could see this team going 7-9, 8-8. Easy.
I hate all Cleveland sports, and I'm going to include Ohio State in that. But I almost want them to be a good team. Like, I'm rooting for the Browns just because, I mean, you just can't always be bad.
A part of me wants them to suck for one more year.
Just one more?
Yep, because I think there's one more move they need to make, and it's to fire Hugh Jackson. And if they have a decent season, I feel like they'll hold on to him.
Oh,
and I think he holds them back. If they fired Hugh, they need to fire Hugh Jackson, and they need to go find some young, like super offensive-minded, like wonderkin, and make him the head coach for like 20 years.
Like I can't think of his name right now, but he's the coach is in college. He's like 35, and he's like insane. He's a quarterback coach. He played quarterback in college, and then he went on to coach. he runs a crazy spread in hurry up offense in college, but
it's not Cliff Kingsbury, is it?
For Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The really good looking dude?
Yeah.
Like male model that's a head coach?
Yeah, and he wears like GQ sunglasses on the sideline. He played for the Patriots, didn't he?
Yeah, he played for the Pats.
Yeah, like he's an offensive minded like genius.
You know who another person to watch is? Watch the Tennessee Titans offense this year. If they have a really good offense, they hired the offensive coordinator from the Rams last year to be their offensive coordinator. Like he made a lateral move, pretty much, because in LA, what's his name calls the plays? McVay, the head coach.
Right.
So he wanted to call the plays. This dude, I think his name's like LaFleur or something like that, the offensive coordinator. But he comes from McVay's system, and he's a young dude, and he wanted to call the plays, so he did a lateral move offensive coordinator. So if the Titans have a really good year on offense this year, and he really makes that offense show,
he's like the next prodigy.
And he does it with Marcus Mariota, a mobile quarterback who's accurate, who plays a lot like Baker Mayfield. The Browns should fire Hugh Jackson instantly and hire that dude.
Yeah.
Throw however much money at him as they can.
Yeah.
Because just watch the Titans offense this year, and if it's good, that dude should be the next head coach of the Browns.
I'm not mad at that. I like that. That's bold. I like that.
Think about it. Baker Mayfield and Marcus Mariota aren't that different as quarterbacks.
No.
Marcus Mariota coming out of college was super accurate and mobile. Baker Mayfield coming out of college is super accurate and mobile. Marcus Mariota's, by all accounts, like a super nice guy and not a dick, and Baker Mayfield has like dickish tendencies. So like that's
know how to take him.
Huh?
You just have to know how to take Baker Mayfield.
But that has nothing to do with how they play, and they play very similarly.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that. That's definitely... And having... Especially if maybe not after this season, but if he has 2 good years at Tennessee, and the Browns are 3-13 and 4-12, I mean... not going to get it done.
Yeah. No, yeah. You definitely bring this kid in. Fire Hugh Jackson. Get fucking Todd Haley out of there. And then just fucking let this dude build the team the way he wants.
Yep. I like it. So we have them going 4-12. Well, I have them 4-12. You have them. What did you decide? You had them at...
I've gone back. Now I'm going to go with you, 4-12, because I looked at their schedule, and 4 is the perfect number.
All right. Who do you have third?
Maybe this is a little bit... Nope. I almost thought about putting the Ravens there, but I think I'm going to go with the Bengals.
I went Bengals as well.
The Bengals just feel like they're in fucking rebuild, kind of.
I mean, they just... Every year they get worse.
Plus, Marvin Lewis is still there. He somehow didn't get fired.
Right.
They added Cordy Glenn in a trade with the Bills, a pretty good left tackle. They added Preston Brown and defensive tackle Chris Baker. They drafted Billy Price out of Ohio State, the center.
Yep. They got Sam Hubbard from Ohio State.
And Jefferson. Jesse Bates III I have on here, safety.
Yeah, from Wake.
Yep. They lost Pac-Man Jones, Kevin Minter, A.J. McCarron is obviously with the Bills, Russell Bodine at center, Jeremy Hill is obviously on the Pats, and Andre Smith at offensive tackle. So they lost 2 linemen, and they drafted a center, and they added a left tackle. So
they added a running back. He could be productive. Mark Walton from Miami, he was good in college.
I could totally see Joe's bold prediction for the fantasy season, Giovanni Bernard gets cut in the offseason and Mark Walton just takes over his role.
I mean, he had probably 4 or 5 games where it's like, this dude's a first-round pick. And then the rest of the games was like, is this dude going to get drafted? Like, it was unbelievable. And I think that just had to do with just Miami. They were just all over the place last year.
He's pretty much Giovanni Bernard. Like, they're the same player.
Yeah. So you mean you're just trading for a younger... And that's the same thing with McCarron. I mean, McCarron's not going to be
he wasn't
starring, he's not going to be that guy. So they get Logan Woodside from Toledo.
Yeah.
They're just
AJ
trading.
McCarron was never going to be your answer for the next quarterback if Andy Dalton was to leave or go down.
Right. So
not long term.
The thing about the Bengals is they were for 5 years they were in the playoffs. They were trending up. They were like, okay, this team's making moves. They're doing well. And then the last 2 years is just, I mean, they went 7-9 last year, which isn't awful, but it wasn't an impressive 7-9 if that's even a real thing. It just wasn't good.
Well, the thing with the Bengals, and this is why I almost I went back and forth between them and the Ravens being here, and I decided on the Ravens being better than them, is because the Bengals and the Ravens actually aren't that much different. The Ravens just have a better defense.
Yeah, right.
They both struggle. I don't know what it is about the Bengals lately, but they have just been on the struggle bus on offense. They were not, when they were in the playoffs all the time, Andy Dalton and AJ Green were dynamic and they were scoring, and they had the dual threat at running backs with Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard, and they just can't seem to get anything going. And I think it's because their offensive line was so wretchedly bad last year that they just could not do anything.
Right. So Vegas has them 5.5 wins.
Yeah, I have it at 6.
Right.
That's what my gut says too. Not looking at their schedule, that the Bengals are probably good for about 6 wins.
Right. I mean, there is the potential that they split with the Ravens. They could sweep the Browns. I mean, they could. I mean, that's up in the air. If they end up sweeping the Browns, it's 3. They got to piece together 3 more. I can't see it being.
I don't
should
see them
possible.
I don't see them beating the Steelers.
No. So I think 6 wins even though they're worse than last year's, considered a good season for them, because they're mediocre at best if you look at their roster.
Yeah, I agree. They are not. I am expecting a better year out of Joe Mixon this year, but that's more fantasy and has less to do with their overall record. I don't think they'll be that good.
Right. Yep. I agree. So then we go to second place, and I have the Ravens.
This is the Ravens.
Yep. And I have them at 8-8.
Yeah, that's, again, not looking at their schedule, that sounds like the score that's what I would have said.
Yep. I mean, they're projected 8.5 from Vegas, so I mean, right around that line.
Fucking Vegas.
They release Woodhead, they release Macklin, they sign RG3.
Woodhead retired.
Yeah, well, did they release him and then he decided to retire, or was it vice versa?
Oh, maybe. I thought he just retired. But
I mean, it's
could have been that.
Either way, they don't got him.
All they added was wide receivers.
They got 2 tight ends, 2 receivers. Lamar Jackson.
In the draft?
Yeah.
They drafted their 2 receivers too?
Two receivers, yeah, they got in the late rounds, yeah.
They also added 3 free agent wide receivers.
Yeah, so I mean, they're just trying to do anything they can to help.
They added Crabtree, John Brown, and Willie Snead.
Yep.
Obviously, they drafted Lamar Jackson. They got Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews at tight end. They took Orlando Brown, the guy who had like the worst combine of all time.
Yeah. Yep. Anthony Averett from Alabama.
What is he? Receiver?
He's a cornerback.
Corner? All right.
He was depending on where Minka was playing, he was like their premier corner.
And then they lost Mike Wallace, Jeremy Maclin, Ben Watson is gone. Danny Woodhead retired, obviously. Ryan Jensen, their center, and Ladarius Webb. And they also lost their defensive coordinator, Dean Pease. He was like 950 years old, and he finally retired. And Don Martindale took over for them.
Yeah. So when did the Ravens win the Super Bowl? How many years ago was that? Was that 7?
Phew, it's been a while.
7 or so years ago. Maybe.
Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl. They won. The Ravens won Super Bowl XLV 1-1. I don't know what that is. February 3rd, 2013.
Okay, so 5 years ago. They are 500 overall since then.
Since 2013?
Yep.
It makes sense. I mean, they're just kind of there.
Right.
I actually think part of me thinks this team would be better off if they just didn't play Joe Flacco from the start.
There's no way they're a better than 500 team this year, and obviously since the Super Bowl, with Flacco at quarterback. I don't see it.
Like, I think they're a better team if Lamar Jackson just takes over right now.
Well, they said that they're putting packages together for him, which basically means he'll probably play 10% of the time.
I heard someone else say this, but is them saying we're putting packages together to have both of them on the field at the same time just like a way of saying we're playing Lamar Jackson at wide receiver and not having people get upset about it?
It's possible.
I mean, if they're both on the field at the same time, you would think at least one of them is split out. And it's probably Flacco. Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Unless they're going to run like a wildcat and have Flacco be the spread out quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's the way I look at the Ravens. They're closer to the Browns than they are the Steelers.
I agree with that.
Like, the Browns are closer to being in second than the Ravens are closer to being in first. Like, it just... Like you said, they're just there. They're just kind of...
The Ravens, like variety of outcomes, it's like... They could go... What do we have them at? 8-8?
Yeah.
I could very easily see them going, like, 3-13.
Right.
Like, they could be... like a complete shit team.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very easily.
Right. They're like an injury away.
Yeah. Just like that defense doesn't show up.
Right.
And they can't score. Because they are not smart enough to play Lamar Jackson.
So then that brings us to the Steelers. Winning the division, not surprising at all. They went 13-3 last year. This year, I think they're gonna go. I have it split between 11-5 and 12-4.
Hold on, let me look at something here. So they win. Let's say they win both against the Browns. Both against the Bengals. And split with the Ravens. That's 5 wins already.
Mm-hmm.
They have to play the Chiefs. They'll win. That's 6. The Bucks. Falcons. Panthers. Jags. Broncos. Chargers. Raiders. Pats. Saints. I'm not joking. I think I'm going to have the Steelers at 9-7.
9-7.
Yep, they're going to win. Listen, the Steelers were really good last year until they lost Ryan Shazier. And Ryan Shazier is not coming back. And they did not get a linebacker to take his place. So, after he left, they were a terrible defense. Legitimately awful.
They were
awful. Unless, like, Terrell Edmonds is the safety they drafted is going to play linebacker and is just as good as Ryan Shazier, like,
which he's not.
I don't know how they're going to stop anyone because they don't have a good defense.
Right.
And their schedule is legitimately very hard outside of their own division. They start off against the Browns, then they play the Chiefs, then they play the Buccaneers and the Ravens. So they could very well get off to like a 4-0 start. But then they play the Falcons, they play the Bengals again, the Browns again, the Ravens again. But listen to the end of year schedule. Panthers, Jags, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Patriots, Saints, Bengals.
That could easily be...
That's loss,
1 or 2 wins.
Loss. We'll say win against the Raiders. Loss. Win against the Bengals. That's 2-6 over the last 8 games.
Yeah, they better kill it in the beginning.
Yeah, and they play... I could easily see them losing to both the Falcons and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are way better. They improved on defense.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that they win both games against the Browns, both games against the Ravens, both games against the Bengals. Like, most of the time, you'll drop a conference or a division game. So,
And the Steelers they lost Todd Haley, didn't they?
Yeah, he's gone. They have a new offensive coordinator.
The Browns. He's with the Browns now, I believe.
Randy Fichtner replaces Todd Haley as offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Lev Bell is holding out. Who knows what he's going to look like when he comes back. Their offense should be good. Their offense should be very good, but they better win every game in a shootout because I don't think their defense is going to be very good.
Right, and that all depends on what Ben Roethlisberger we're going to see.
I also think that, like, they play the NFC South. Right? Is that... I think they might lose to every team in that division that they play.
That's a tough division.
Yeah, and I don't think the Steelers are better than any team in that division. Maybe the Buccaneers, but that's it. The Falcons are better than them. The Panthers are better than them.
The Saints are better.
The Saints are definitely better. The Broncos should beat them. The Jags might literally end the Steelers if the Steelers can't beat them again. The Chargers are definitely better than them.
Yeah,
This team is not. People are gonna rank them really highly. I would not be surprised if this team lays a dud of a season and still makes the playoffs.
The over under for their wins is 10.5.
See, Vegas might be with me because that is a low number. I feel like
a team
for
that
the
went
Steelers.
13-3 last year.
Yeah,
that is a low number. I was surprised by that number.
They were a very different team post Shazier going down.
Right.
Points allowed post Shazier. I bet you someone has done this injury. Granted, Shazier got hurt towards the end of the season, right?
Yeah. But still, it's enough of a sample size to see how mediocre they were.
He got injured in week 13.
Right.
Let's see. They were giving up rushing yards per game. They gave up 47, 92. This can't be real. 222 yards? They allowed 16 runs of 10 yards or more post Ryan Shazier getting hurt.
Wow.
Like, they got dominated on the ground after he left. After he got hurt.
Well, it almost doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because he was their stud linebacker. He was their guy. He was the man in the captain of the defense. Like, he was.
He single-handedly was the run-stopping.
Yeah, and he's gone. He's not coming back this year. So, unless you drafted one of these safeties that you got to be a box safety and like really be a linebacker, and they're as good as Ryan Shazier, I don't understand how you're going to stop anybody.
Right.
Because if you can run on a team,
they have to stack the box.
You can pretty much do whatever you want with them. Right. Because if you can't stop the run, the other team has to counter you by stacking the box, and then you can throw all over them. Because it's not like the Steelers are stacked at defensive back either.
No, they're suspect at defensive back. They have been for a while.
Yeah. So now you can throw on them and run on them.
Yeah.
And if you get a lead, you can literally just ball control,
milk it,
and beat them.
Yeah, I never really. I didn't think of it in that sense. I was more of their offense. Lately, like I said, it's gonna have to be a shootout. If they get stopped, which they play pretty good defensive teams, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, their offense is what'll keep them in games, and their offense should be pretty good this year. So, there's a chance they go 13-3 and just win every 50-50 shootout game they play in. But because I think they're going to be in a lot of 50-50 shootout games, there's also a chance that they lose a lot of those too. And some of the teams in the NFC South, like a lot of those teams have really good defenses. The Panthers have a good defense. The Saints have a good defense. The Buccaneers have a better defense. The Falcons have a pretty good defense. So and
you have to outscore them too. They have good offenses.
All of those teams have good offenses.
Right. So 9-7 is tough.
I would say Vegas hit it on the nose, and that they're probably a 10-6 football team.
10-6, I could live with. It still wins the division. I don't think they're in jeopardy of losing the division.
You know what they are?
That sounds like
they are in jeopardy of losing a bye.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that would be huge. Imagine if they have to go to Jacksonville and play.
Well, if they lose to Jacksonville again.
Imagine if they play Jacksonville during the regular season and Jacksonville waxes them. And then they don't get a bye, and then they have to go to Jacksonville and play Jacksonville in the playoffs.
There's no shot they beat them.
The Jaguars might single-handedly make Ben Roethlisberger retire.
They might, yeah. They might. Then it's Mason Rudolph time.
Yep.
So,
you know what? That was a great spot for him to go to.
Yeah, I'm mad that he went to the Steelers. I really liked him, but
yeah, I am too. But a lot of people say he was made by his wide receivers. Like, he was so good because his receivers were really good at Oklahoma State. But
yeah,
if he goes to the Steelers, it'll be the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, because all of his receivers are really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good fit for him.
And he gets to play with the kid from Oklahoma State with him.
Yeah, James Washington.
Yeah. He'll have Washington, Juju, and Antonio Brown as his receiving core.
Right. And then he can always just slip it out to Le'Veon if he's still
there. I mean, dump it off.
Oh. Not a bad gig. So with the Steelers winning the division
at 10-6.
At 10-6, I'll stick with the 10-6. The Browns 4-12, Bengals
Joel-
6-10.
Joel's not going to like this podcast.
You know what though? He might be on board because he's not a big Roethlisberger fan.
No?
He's not.
Is he happy they got, what's his name too? The kid from Oklahoma State whose name I can't... Mason Rudolph?
So, it's interesting because beginning of the college football season, I watched the first Oklahoma State game, and right when they kicked off, I was a big Mason Rudolph fan the year before, and I said, check this kid out. Like, he's going to be in the Heisman talk if he doesn't screw up. And that game, he threw 6 touchdowns. And he was like, this dude's unbelievable. And now, I was like, man, if the Steelers need a replacement for Roethlisberger, I mean, similar body type, he would be a good fit.
He was one of those guys during the whole pre-draft process that I couldn't understand all the knocks that they were throwing against him. Like, he was decently accurate. I thought he threw a good ball. He's got prototypical size, a little bit of athleticism, like never really made a ton of mistakes. Maybe he didn't wow you, but he seemed to do everything pretty good.
Right.
But just everyone didn't like him. Maybe because he didn't have anything that wowed you, but...
And the offense he played in.
Yeah, the offense was a big knock against him, too.
Immediately, once you play in that kind of offense, which is 80% of college teams now.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's coming to the pros.
Yeah, it has to.
That offense, I mean, Nick Foles won the fucking Super Bowl with a run-pass option. That's pretty much a college offense.
Right. I'm interested to see how Baker does, because that was his go-to.
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky in Chicago. That's another person to watch if you like seeing college offenses in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Same with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Because the dude who's the new head, Nagy from Kansas City, out of that Andy Reid coaching tree, he's going to be running a lot of that shit in Chicago with Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, it's going to be in 5 years, the NFL offense is going to be so different.
Yeah, it's going to be RPOs and athletic. Like, we've been seeing the NBA transition to, like, positionless basketball. Right. And the NFL is going to transition to, like, athletes everywhere. Like, as many athletes as you can get.
Right.
No more big plotting, guys. More like built, Byron athletic. Leftwich. Yeah. You're going to slow quarterback. Like, every quarterback's going to have at least some scramble ability. You know what I mean? It's not going to be... Think about all the new quarterbacks that are coming up. Like, even Jared Goff can move around. You know what I mean?
I mean, they have to, though. The game's evolving so much. I mean, if they don't have that ability, they're going to get killed. Because the offensive line is not progressing as much as, like, the defensive players. Like Myles Garrett. And you got to move a little bit or you're going to die.
The real problem with the spread offenses in college is that it's hurting the development of offensive linemen, not as much quarterbacks. It's offensive linemen aren't learning to block correctly at an NFL level. They're learning to block in this spread style offense where...
And the ball's out so quick. They don't have to.
Yeah, and they never even get down in like a 3-point stance. They just like stand in a 2-point stance the whole time. So, I don't know. You're right. Quarterbacks are going to be more mobile because they have to be. Players are going to be more athletic and faster. Everything's going to be faster.
So that's the AFC North. What are we going to do next week? Are we going to go with the South? Are we going to tackle that division, see how that goes?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the AFC South this year, so let's do the South.
All right, so we'll do the South. Of course, any news, anything that comes out, we'll have coming your way. Any final words before we go?
3. Imagine, I think that you could very well see 3 AFC South playoff teams.
The Jags, the Titans,
and the Texans. Or the Colts.
Texans.
If Andrew Luck's healthy, it could be the Colts too.
If Andrew Luck's healthy, might be the toughest division.
Yeah, that's a very competitive division.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to get into. That's gonna be a really good one to break down. So we'll get into that next week. I don't have anything further to say. I think we covered everything we needed to this show. Until next time, guys. Take care.
Adios.
Understanding the downs and distance is probably the biggest key to understanding football.
Down and distance.